Hey folks, Mobile Geezer here with this week's Geezer Bits for Sunday, May 20th, 2018. So I don't have a whole lot this week, but we did have two phone releases, so I'll just do them in order. First up, the Honor 10 was announced from London on Tuesday, May 15th. It's expected to be about $540 in the US, but it won't have an official US release. Of course, it's a GSM phone, so you can put it on AT&T and T-Mobile, but it looks like a pretty good device. It's glass front and back with an aluminum frame, has dual SIM, no SD card, has an IPS LCD display. It's 5.84 inches, so it's a nice, good size. The display resolution is 1080 by 2280 pixels. It's a 19:9 ratio. Of course, it comes with EMUI 8.1, Honor being a sub-brand of Huawei, and it'll be running Android 8.1 Oreo. Chipset is a Kirin 970, which is one of the best chipset there is, made by Huawei, of course. And it comes in 64 or 128 gig with 4 gigabytes or 6 gigabytes of RAM, respectively. Primary camera is 16 megapixel f1.8 aperture and a 24 megapixel camera. The front-facing camera is also 24 megapixel with an f.2 aperture. The rear camera will shoot at 2160p at 30 frames per second or 1080p at 30 frames per second. Front camera, of course, is 1080p. It does have a headphone jack, and it does have NFC. The fingerprint sensor is mounted on the front, and it has a 34 milliamp battery, so it should give you pretty good battery life. The colors are Phantom Blue, Phantom Green, Midnight Black, and Glacier Gray, and from what I've seen online, they look pretty stunning. And the very next day, the OnePlus 6 was announced on Wednesday, May 16th, also in London. Both phones are expected to be available for purchase this Tuesday, the 22nd. The OnePlus 6 will come with 64 gigabytes with 6 gigabytes of RAM, or 128 to 256 gigabytes with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Many people, including myself, were happy about the starting price. It'll start at $529. Everybody was worried that they were really going to jack up the price, which of course they have been jacking it up, but still it's better than what anybody expected. It's also a device with glass on both sides with an aluminum frame. Also dual nano SIM. The OnePlus has an AMOLED capacitive touchscreen, and it's 6.28 inches, so it's a good sized device. The resolution is 1080 by 2280 pixels on the display, and again a 19:9 ratio. Of course, it has Oxygen OS, and it comes with Android 8.1 Oreo. The Qualcomm Snapdragon 845, best you can get right now, and again no SD card slot. Primary camera is 16 megapixel f1.7 aperture with a secondary camera of 20 megapixel, also f1.7 aperture. Secondary camera is a 16 megapixel f2.0. Rear camera will shoot at 2160p at 30 and 60 frames per second and 1080p at 30, 60, and 240 frames per second and 720p at 480 frames per second. Secondary camera will of course shoot at 1080p. Does have a headphone jack and NFC. This one has a rear-mounted fingerprint sensor and a 3300 milliamp battery. Once again, should give you pretty good battery life. colors: midnight black, mirror black, silk white. A lot of the guys online are saying the silk white looks stunning, but they all look pretty stunning to me as far as I can tell. Next up, 12 Google employees have quit Google as a protest against a contract that Google has with the Defense Department to build a drone for the military. One employee said, "The strongest possible statement I could take against this was to leave." Well, I gather all 12 felt that way. The project is called Project Maven, and the drone uses Google's image recognition to collect data for the military. The employees had circulated a petition saying, "We believe that Google should not be in the business of war." Of course, no word from Google about it, but it's just an interesting story. And in a kind of follow-up story, there's a few articles that came out yesterday that Google has removed its famous "Don't Be Evil" clause from its Code of Conduct. There is still one reference to "Don't Be Evil" at the very bottom of the Code of Conduct, but it seems like it's been a significant change by pulling most of the wording for the "Don't Be Evil" slogan from the official Code of Conduct. That seems to have been done on April 5th this year. Nobody's quite sure what it means, but following the Defense Department contract, people are starting to put two and two together. Nobody's sure if they're coming up with four, but it's just interesting that both those stories came out this week. So that's all I have this week, folks. As always, comments are welcome, and thanks for watching. Yeah.